Hello everybody and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Shellie Geigle with J&S Hobbies and Crafts. And the other day I showed you how to make the scrunchie tower, and that was so simple. We used a recycled empty paper towel roll, some leftover chipboard, and some leftover paper, and it all came together quickly. Today I'm going to show you how to make the scrunchie that goes onto the scrunchie tower. Now, scrunchies are inexpensive to make, and if you have some fabric there at the house, grab some. Now, some of you, I know that you're used to the paper crafts on my tutorial. Maybe you don't have fabric, you haven't gotten into any sewing or anything. I do have some kits that I put into the store, and it's under the sewing category. And inside the kit will be 5 strips of your cotton, and they'll all be pre-cut for you, as well as the 5 strips of elastic, and that will give you 5 scrunchies, and it's very inexpensive. So those of you that already have your fabric, would like to cut it, what I have here is a strip that is 3.5 inches wide. And you can cut the length to anywhere between 19.5 and 23 or 22. This one's actually 22 inches long. For the elastic, I have a 1/4 inch width, and I cut it to 6 3/4 inch long. Other things that you'll want to make the scrunchie, which is so easy to make, is have a couple safety pins. Couldn't think for a minute there. Safety pins. And what that's going to do for us is we're going to have one at one end of the elastic to feed through the scrunchie when it comes time to put it in. The other one just kind of anchors it so it doesn't follow along. It just holds it there so we can get it through. And getting it through there is a cinch. Another thing that you might want is to have some pins handy. And if any of you have made scrunchies before, and I know there is so many different ways to make scrunchies, but when it comes down to getting this underneath the presser foot of your sewing machine, have you ever had it to where it kind of goes cattywampus? You know, trying to get it under there, it just goes. So I'll be giving you a tip on how to get it so it is straight on in there. Okay, scissors for snipping your thread, an iron, and an ironing board. Now, it is not required. You don't have to have it. I will be. Now, one part of this is I'm going to have you turn over about a 1/2 inch on the fabric and press it. If you don't have the iron or you don't feel like getting it out, that's okay. What you'll do is you'll just place it down, you'll fold it over, and use your nail to just crease it. And you'll see that it will crease for you. And that's all that needs to be done. Okay, come on over to the table. Let's get going on this. It's super fast. So I've got this ready to go here, and I have my ironing board close by. Whoops, that is not working for me. There we go. Now, one thing, if you choose the kit that has this in there, it's kind of a synthetic. So you'll want to turn the heat down on your iron for sure, or you will end up ruining the fabric. It will just shrivel up on you. So what we're going to do on this is we're going to turn it about a 1/2 inch in and about 2 inches down. So if you have to use your nail, do that. So I'm going to bring this up here and just kind of lightly, and like I said, turn your iron down if it's on this fabric. What we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing over here, and bring this a little closer, about a 1/2 inch. And then down here too, we'll turn it about a 1/2 inch in. And over here. Okay, don't need your iron anymore. So I'm going to grab my pins here. And what you're going to do is you have this down, this crease here, and you'll measure up the 2 inches, and we're just going to place a pin right like that. Okay, we're going to go right on the other side of that with another pin. So you got your pins there. We're going to do that on this side too. So about 2 inches, a little. And then I'm going to get on this side too. Okay, so that's what you should have. That's what it looks like. Now what we're going to do is turn it over, and we are going to match up. So we don't have to worry about down here, just right here. So we're going to match up. Bring your pins together, and you'll bring your edges together. And it's kind of funny. So I'm going to bring this a little closer. So here's our pins. We're not going to worry about that. We're going to turn it like this, and we're going to bring our pins together there. And then we will take this and match up our raw edges. And raw edges are what this is. Okay, I'm going to stick a little pin in there just to keep me straight. Okay, so we're going to do that all the way down. We'll just pin it a little bit at the edges. I'll bring these two over here together, and I'll just pull these up there. And I'll get one more right in here. I'm a pinner, so I always put pins to hold my stuff together. Okay, let's head over to the sewing machine. So here we are at the sewing machine, and these are the 2 pins that we put in, if you remember, and then I put a pin here. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to slide that 1 pin out so I can get this under there. And I'm going to put this down, and I'm going to be doing a straight stitch. So I'm going to put that down. Okay, so we're going to go forward, backwards, just to lock it in. And now we're just going to keep going. Oops, I got something up there. Okay, don't know what that was. Thread. Okay, make sure that's over. Okay, so for my seam allowance, it's about a 1/2 inch, just so you know. So if you are beginning, here's a big tip. Don't keep your eye on the needle, okay? For me, my measuring of how far over so I can get a straight stitch is I have my material right at the edge of my foot here. So I'm just watching that rather than the needle. When you watch the needle, you won't be able to get a straight stitch. Okay, coming up to the other side. And my machine, I apologize, is noisy, but that's okay. I'm just going to go up, and I'm going to go forward and backwards to lock in that stitch. And then I'm going to cut my threads. I have an automatic thread cutter, but... Alright, so here we go. We can definitely take out these pins now, all of them. Now's the time for one of the safety pins that I told you about. Alright, so here is my fabric, and get it into the camera view, and one of my safety pins. Here it is. So what I'm going to do with this is, here is the end, the open end, and I'm just going to clip the safety pin on to there, just like that. Now I'm just going to go up and through. So I'm just going to kind of feed that through, and you will see it starts. If you have a fancy tool to get it through there, do it, but I'm just going to do it this way. And I am at the other side, so we just pull it through. Just like that. Okay, I'm going to take this out. And I'm going to need my safety pin again here in a minute, so I'll just put that out of the way. Okay, so here is your seam. Just kind of turn it upside down. Okay, what we're going to do is, here's the end of the other one, and the seam is down there. Here is the end of the other one. So we're going to put right sides together, and we'll just open that up at the sides, as you can see, and match it up. And I'm going to place a pin in there to hold it while I go here. I think you can see that. Open up that side. Place a pin. And then over here. Just to keep me together while I maneuver this. Okay. Alright, so now that I have this all pinned, as you can see, so it kind of looks like this and like that, and our right sides are together. I'm going to stick this on my sewing machine, and I'm going to sew across here. Sorry, I don't have the great camera set up like I do in my craft room. Okay, so I've got it in there. Remove that pin. And we're going to go forward. Get my hand out of the way. Forward, backwards, lock in the stitch, and then we're just going to go. And I think you can see that. Move that, put my foot back down, and back stitch. Alright, so I'm going to show you what I have here. So now this is what we have. We're stitched like this. If you were to open it up. Okay, so now we have this big opening. It is time to get our elastic through there. So I'm just going to poke one end through the elastic. And then this is where I said the other one's kind of anchors me. So here is the seam where it's open. It kind of looks like a little canoe right now. But right here at one of the seams, all I'm going to do is take the other side of this, and I'm going to anchor it so it does not mess me up. Okay, so into the hole we go, and I like pressing up on that seam, as you can see, as I'm feeding it through. And it's just going to go right on through. And we are coming back around where the opening is. And here is my one that's anchored. So here is the tip. I'm going to take this out and keep a hold of it so it doesn't go back through. Undo this one. Hold on to that. So here's that little trick I told you about. A lot of people, what they do, and we'll just scrunch all that back down. All we're worried about right now is the elastic. But a lot of people, they'll just go to try to put it under their presser foot like this. And what happens is it kind of twists on them. So what I want you to do is overlap this one about 3/4 of an inch over the other one. Just like that. Okay. Overlap. What you'll do now is grab a pin And you can see where the overlap is over here. And I'm just going to be careful on my fingers, but I'm just going to pin it, and I want my pin to be straight. Okay, and then over here I'm going to do the same thing. Put a little pin in there. Now they're both kind of straight, right? So let me show you. That's going to hold it in place, and your presser foot will fit right in between without getting on that needle. So let's move to the sewing machine. All right, so what we're going to do now is, as you can see, I have the elastic, and I did not pin this side very well. Got to get through both layers. There we go. So now when I press this down under the presser foot, these pins should be on either side and should not interfere with hitting a needle. Okay, we want a zigzag stitch now. And what we're going to do is we're going to zigzag forward, backwards, forward. And I think that you can see that. Here we go. Forward, backwards, forward, backwards. Didn't quite get cut there. And that's all you need. I'm going to remove these little pins now because I don't need them there, but I was able to get my stitch across there. So I'm going to just trim off my little things there. And then I'm going to trim off the excess on those. So now I have my zigzag stitch, and it kept these straight. Okay, there is that. So now if you were to find, kind of get the elastic in between. So now if you were to make sure the elastic's inside what I call a little canoe, and what you're looking for is the middle seams right now, and you'll fold them over about a 1/2 inch. Okay, middle seams, I think you can see that. Looks kind of like a mess right now, but it really isn't. So fold over that really quick. Match them up together. We're going to pin that really quick. Right in the middle. Okay, so we have that folded under there. So now that we have this, we pin the middle seam in the little canoe, as if you were to grab this side where it's stitched, and then here's our middle point, and go like this. It should come together for you like that. Nice and easy there. Okay. So for now, I'm just going to put one pin in there to hold that together. And here's the middle point. I'm going to come back over onto this side. Here's the middle right here, and I'm going to pull, and it's going to close it up, and it'll be tucked under. So I'm just going to place a pin to hold that together. So as you can see, I've stretched out, you can see, and they'll come together. If you want to place a few pins, and I like to myself, just to hold those seams together. Okay, so here's the part. If you don't want a top stitch right on the edge going around, and you just want to hide, what you can do is grab a needle and thread, and I will show you quickly, but I am going to top stitch mine, but I'm just going to show you something really quick, just for an option in case you don't like the top stitch look. So I'm going to feed this through here. Okay. If you are wanting to hide, okay, here is where my stitches end. Here is part of the what I call a canoe to open up. Okay, so what you want to do, and I'm going to take one of my pins out, is you will first go underneath this all the way back here and come up underneath, so it's hiding it, and you'll come up like that. Okay? And you'll want to bring that closed while you're working on it. I'm just going to hold it there. Whoop, I came out a little far. Anyway, what you're going to do is you're going to slide this back underneath, and then you will slide it over on the other side. And I think you could see that, I don't know. Here's the other side. I'm going to slide it in between. Oops, caught. And that will start sealing it. So again, I'm going to take this, I'm going to go over to this side, and I'm not underneath anymore, I'm holding it shut. And I'm just going to go in underneath, and I'll come out, and then I'm going to go over to this other side and just kind of slowly, oops. And then what will happen is it will close it shut by doing it like that. Okay, so I'm going to clip this off because I want to top stitch. I like to top stitch around mine. Okay, so here is the opening. I'm going to stick this underneath. Now, if you have the ability to shift your needle over more to the right, do so. I'm going to do that. If not, you can find a spot to look at, but all we're looking to do now is right along the edge is stitch. And I'm going to go all the way around mine because I like that look. So stick that down. So I'm going to go forward, backwards, and start stitching this. Okay, and as I go, I'm just going to kind of stretch this out, hold it, and go. Going a little too fast. Okay, so this is pretty much closed up the hole, but I'm going to keep going around so it looks the same. So I'm going to stretch it out, straighten it out, and I'm going to continue. And I am coming back around. So this is where I began, right about here. So when I hit that, I'm going to go forward and back to lock the stitch in. Forward, back. And I'm going to clip off these strings. Okay, so here we go. Here is our scrunchie. And that is all there is, and you can see it has a nice little trim at the edge all the way around. So I hope you've enjoyed this little tutorial and hope you give it a try. I'll see you on my next tutorial. I have a new paper crafting project and I think you'll like it.